All right, we are live. Lions fans, our boys did it in New York, 2017 over the New York Jets. A much needed victory, a victory against a good team, a victory against a team with a good defense, even with Quentin Williams not in the game. Our boys come away with the victory and we keep our playoff hopes alive. All right, son, jump in and give me your takeaways from the game.
Well, my main takeaway is, a win's a win. But in my opinion, there was parts I would say where the Lions, I would say they really had in their win streak. I would say honestly, this is, like I said, a win's a win. But I would say this was one, not like one of their worst wins. I don't know if like worst would be the word exactly, but it was one of their more messy wins. It was a tight, gritty game. Um, the offense, I kind of saw some things where, in my opinion, it wasn't that the Jets defense was so good. It was more that the Lions were making quite a bit of mistakes in the red zone, actually. Jamal Williams should have got an easy touchdown. It seemed like he missed the hole, in my opinion, on the first red zone trip they had. The second time, they had plenty of holding penalties, so that's 14 points that they missed. Jared Goff missed Jamison Williams on a wide open touchdown shot. Um, but for the pros, I would say the defense is really starting to show up. Now the secondary, like I've been saying, come on, they're starting to really get tore up. But the Lions' run defense is really showing up. They shut down Saquon Barkley. They shut down Dalvin Cook. I mean, I know the Jets don't really have like a star running back, but they even did pretty good with the run game today.
I would absolutely agree with you on that, and I would actually back up and say that on offense they did make quite a few mistakes. Not Jonah Jackson, but Evan Brown. Those two holding penalties. One was actually on a Jamal Williams touchdown, and then another one was it? Did we have a first down going on? We had a first down going on, and it seems that he got another holding penalty. So I would have to agree with you and say that the penalties definitely hurt. Um, and the Jets defense played decent, but I did believe that we left about 10 points out there on the field. Well, let's go to some pros and cons as we do every week. Let's start first with the offense. I should say we put up 20 points, but 7 of them came on special teams. So technically the offense put up 13 of those points, I should say. So what did you think about the offense? But let's start with the quarterback play. Let's start with Jared Goff.
Honestly, I thought Jared Goff looked pretty decent. I mean, this game, he pretty much, he kind of was a game manager again. It's not like he had any really explosive throws. He could have had an explosive throw to Jamison Williams. And now I don't think it's necessarily, at least I hope not, I don't think it's necessarily like a problem with Jared Goff's arm of why he couldn't get it down to Jamison Williams. I'm hoping it was more of a miscommunication and he was just surprised that, he was that fast. Because, I mean, he even got held up and he still was streaking past DJ Reed. And if you look, I didn't realize this. The Jets really, really do have a good defense. The Jets have a top 3 defense in the NFL if you want to go by yards allowed per game. They only allow 300 yards per game. And I know Jared Goff had well over 200 yards. I think he had 250 yards passing if I'm right about that. And I know he didn't have an interception either. I think this is 7 games in a row now where Jared Goff has gone without throwing a pick. Matter of fact, I think the last pick that Jared Goff threw was against the Vikings when he had to throw it up at the end of the game. So no, I think Jared Goff. I thought he looked pretty good today for the most part.
Okay, I'm with you on that. Yes, I'm gonna actually give Jared Goff a solid B plus. The only reason I won't give him an A because he actually had another good game is because he did not put enough arm strength behind that deep ball for Jamison Williams. If he would have put 5 more yards on that, that was an easy touchdown. But as I said to you earlier, that I think that the issue is more so that he hasn't had enough time to actually practice with Jameson in real game situations, or maybe even enough in practice that he just doesn't get his speed yet. But I think it will be a lot better once he gets the speed down. Let's move to the running backs. Last week against the Vikings, we were kind of harsh on the running backs. What did you think about the running backs, Swift, Williams, Jackson this week?
Uh, I thought the running backs looked pretty decent for the most part. I think it's official. I don't really think that Swift is that hurt. I just think the Lions are really in love with. I think the Lions really like doing this three running back rotation because Swift had a pretty good game. They're just not giving him the ball enough. I mean, if you look at this, he had 8 rushing attempts. He had 52 yards. That's 6.5 yards per carry, and he had 5 receptions. So I mean, I thought the running backs looked pretty decent, especially Swift. Um, Jamal Williams, I mean, he's more of a power back. So, I mean, he was out there, but when we needed him to get those 2 yard touchdowns with what he's known for, he couldn't get us that. It was, I don't know. I guess that's all right to me. So I would say the running back play, it was decent overall. It was really of a defense. It was a defensive matchup. So
Agreed, agreed. If I had to give them a grade, I'm gonna give them a solid C plus. I thought they were much better this week. It's clear that DeAndre Swift was running better, but I think you said he had 8 carries. He has to get more carries than that. They have he needs to be getting 20 plus carries a game. Yes, Jamal Williams is good as a power back, but we need Swift to do what he did actually today. Get to the outside, and stretch the field. The same with Jackson. I thought he did good. When he did get into the game, but the actually running backs played better this week. Like I said, Jamal Williams had a touchdown if it wasn't for that Evan Brown holding. And see right there, that's where Swift is at his best. That little swing out of the backfield, even though they said that was a little bit short. Okay, let's move with the offensive line. I'm gonna let you start first. What was your take on the O line today?
uh, I mean, I got to give the line like I mean, I had given like a C grade to be honest, because like I said, they cost the Lions completely on that. I don't know if it was the second or third red zone trip in the second or in the first half, but I mean, they yeah, it would have been Williams' second touchdown. They got like a 10-yard rush and they got those holding penalties. And I think in a game against a better team with a better offense like the Chiefs or something, you're going to lose that, especially when it comes down to the playoffs and things like that. But I mean, for the most part, I thought like especially on the passing game, the offensive line looked pretty nice.
I would agree. I'm actually going to give the offensive line a B minus. The reason I'm not only reason I'm not giving them a C is because they kept Jared Goff clean the whole game, but the penalties by Evan Brown, the penalties by Ragnow, the penalties by Penny Sewell, those are the little things that can cost a game, and those are some of the things that we haven't seen the Lions do in the last few weeks that showed its ugly head today. Let's talk about the wide receivers slash tight ends. Give me your thoughts on the performance of the wide receiver or the receivers today.
Honestly, I thought it was another solid performance. Um, no one really like no one I would say really jumped off the stat sheet, but I mean, it was a really solid all around game. I wish I would have saw some more of Jameson Williams. We really saw him on like one target today. Um, uh, Honestly, I don't even know if we, other than Amon St. Brown, I don't think we had a receiver that had over 50 yards. But Amon St. Brown is starting to become a consistent target every week. So yeah, I thought the receivers, I thought they just looked. I guess they looked decent. It was just one of those games where it wasn't like last week where it was where you saw DJ Chark with big plays and you saw Josh Reynolds getting big plays. It was a lot more quiet this week. It was more Deacon Dunks. I guess I did forget about Brock Wright. He did get that late touchdown at the end of the game. That was like the most explosive play of the game, and he was just rumbling down the field. So
I agree with you. Solid. It was a good performance by the receivers. Jared Goff hits a lot of different receivers. We saw Jameson in the game. We saw Josh Reynolds in the game. We saw Khalif Raymond in the game. So I think that they did a pretty good job spreading spreading the ball around. I would say that, and definitely Brock Wright with the play of the game. Not only did we get a game saving first down on 4th and inches, but it ended up being a touchdown, and he just rumbled down the field. Okay, let's move to the defense. Now, the defense gave up 10 points, one of their better performances of the year. Now, we need to decide, was it our defense playing very well, or was it more Zach Wilson, inconsistent play? If you will, he made some big plays. But let's start with our, and yeah, that field goal right there that Badgley missed. I mean, that could have been the key to the game. But let's talk about our D line. What did you see? What did you think about the D line today?
well, the D line looked pretty good. Um, like I mentioned earlier, they kept the run game in check pretty nice, and they actually were able to get pressure on Zach Wilson quite a bit. They sacked him I know they sacked him twice. They might have sacked him 4 times, but yeah, I was pretty impressed with the Lions defensive line actually. Uh, Even Aiden Hutchinson, he got he had at least 5 solo tackles. I know. Um, I don't know if he got a sack today though. But yeah, I thought the defensive line looked pretty nice, especially James Houston. He started. Yeah, we've been saying this for a few weeks now. He's really coming along. I mean, him and Aiden Hutchinson are leading all rookies in sacks by far. Like it's Aiden Hutchinson, James Houston, and then it's just the rest of the league. So you can forget about Kayvon Thibodeau and all of them.
I would agree. I would agree. James Houston coming on strong has definitely been a plus. Kaminsky playing good has been a plus. I'm gonna get a Lions D line at A today. I thought they did a good job, not only putting pressure on Zach Wilson. They sacked him, they pressured him, they hurried him. Not to mention the run game. They shut the run game down. The Jets had no run game. That's also compliment to the linebackers, who we'll get to in a minute. But that D line definitely kept the run game intact with Big Alim McNeil and Bugs in the middle. They stopped anything from coming up the middle, and then we had our D ends doing their thing. Now, what about the linebackers today, particularly Anzalone and Rodriguez? What do you think about their performance?
Man, I feel like I've been saying this for the past 3 to 4 weeks now. I just haven't noticed Rodriguez and the other linebackers that much. I don't know if it's that they're getting cooked in the passing game and maybe they're doing fine in the run game, but I honestly just haven't noticed them on the field that much. I remember 5 weeks ago, I was constantly seeing Rodriguez all over the field and things like that. But I mean, now I'm just not seeing him that much. I don't really, I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't really know how effective they are. I mean, it really just seems like they're cleats on the field. But I could be wrong. You could have saw them do more than what I saw.
Well, this is the thing with them. They didn't have, I would say, a lot of standout plays, but Anzalone was over the field. I thought that they did a good job helping the D line, being in union with the D line to shut the run down. But they've done, but maybe that has something to do with our D line not letting anything get to that second level. Now, when it comes to coverage, I'm with you on that. Our linebackers are still not that well in coverage. Speaking of coverage, let's talk about the secondary, the corners and the safeties. I'm gonna let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I really just want to straight up give them an F. I mean, if I'm being honest, I borderline would want to say the Lions might have lost this game if Mike White was in at quarterback. If we're being real, a lot of opportunities that the Jets missed was really because Zach Wilson was overthrowing his receivers. And I'm sure if we look at the film, it was really happening all day, not just on those last few drives that we saw. If we break down the stats, Zach Wilson actually had his second best game of the season. He had 317 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I know Jerry Jacobs got that pick, but well, Um, again, there was three receivers with over 50 plus yards receiving. Elijah Moore had 50 plus yards. Some dude named Jess Smith, who I haven't heard of until today, he had 4 receptions for 77 yards, and Garrett Wilson had 100 yards on 4 receptions. Those are big chunk plays. I mean, Garrett Wilson basically just said, screw it, I'm going to throw the ball because I know that Garrett Wilson will be out there somewhere. And he was correct on, 6 and 7 of those throws. So when you can do that against corners basically at will, and it can get you down the field like that, no, I have to give them an F grade. They really do they need to draft a corner. They need to draft an A grade corner, like with that first round pick, like a Sauce Gardner.
I'm with you on that. The corners. The only reason that I won't give them a D minus, I'll just give them a D plus, is because Jerry Jacobs had that pick, but it didn't make sense that Zach Wilson was just like that play with Azuma, the touchdown he threw. He threw the ball. I'm not saying he threw it up into no, but he basically just threw it up high. That ball had so much air under it. Azuma catches it. Kirby Joseph played the play wrong. Touchdown. The same way, it's the same thing happened with that long Garrett Wilson reception. It was the same thing. He put the ball up. He just put it up. He caught it. Michael Carter, the running back out the backfield, another play where he threw the ball up and his receivers actually stepped up and actually made a play. Our quarters have to do better. And this is the thing: the D line had enough pressure on Zach Wilson most of the game that it's not like they left our DBs out to dry. So that is something we're going to need going forward. We're going to need at least another corner who can get out there, Sauce Gardner style. Speaking of Sauce Gardner, as you and I were watching the game, what did we notice? It seemed that the Lions were not really testing Ahmad Gardner. That's what we need. We need a guy out there that can, at least on his side of the field, not get tested, and we can make it we can split down half of the field. Let's move on to special teams. Kicks, punts, returns. What you got?
Oh, I'm gonna have to give him an A, because we got. I think that was our first kick return, or I think that was our first punt return of the season. I'm pretty sure a few weeks ago I was mentioning Khalif Raymond was slowly coming on. We saw him live last week, and we noticed how shifty he was starting to look against the Vikings. We had a feeling he was going to be able to break one off eventually, and he did that today. I think Badsley kicked to. Well, he was short. He was short on a pretty long field goal, so I can't get mad at him that. I think it was between 54 and 58 yards. But I know he drilled his other field goal, and I know he made all his extra points. So honestly, I thought, and were honestly pretty good on coverage today too, on kickoff and punt coverage. So now I'm gonna give him an A grade for special teams.
I'm gonna go right there with you. I'm gonna piggyback on you and say it as well. That punt return by Khalif Raymond was huge. 7 points on the board. You said last week that he was going to break one before the season was up, and he did. I'm going to give Jack Fox his due. It was a game of punters. Our punter, and I don't remember the Jets punter's name, but it was a game of punt. See, games like this show you how important punters actually are. And as for Badgley, I know a 54-yard field goal is not a gimme, so I'm going to give him a little bit of a break because he did make his other two kicks. That we need. He made both extra points, and he did make two field goals. But that 54-yard field goal could have really put a necktie would have been tight around the Jets' neck. That would have made them basically force them to have to score a touchdown. Now let's move on to what happens from here. The Lions are now 7-7 with 3 games to go. We are right smack there in the middle of the playoff hunt. Of course, we won't know for sure until after all the games are done, even the Monday night game, because the Packers play Monday night. If the Packers win, they're still alive in the playoffs, even though right now they're behind us. But by Monday night, Tuesday morning, we will have a clearer picture of the playoff push. So let's talk about what's next. And what's next is Christmas Eve in Carolina. What do you see happening? What do the Lions need to do to beat the Panthers next week and move to 8-7 to put us above 500?
Um, I expect the Lions to return back to the old form. I expect them to put up 30 plus points. Um, but what I am nervous about, it's starting to seem like at any week, no matter who the receiver is, and who the quarterback is, they are going to be able to have a career game. Last week it was Justin Jefferson. This week it was Garrett Wilson. I'm sure he had the most yards he's ever had. So I'm pretty sure the Panthers have a decent receiver named DJ Moore, but I could be tripping though. But no, in my opinion, I do think if the Lions go back to their old offense where they're scoring 25 to 30 points in a game, I don't think the Panthers will really have a chance, and I think the Lions should be able to win the game by 10 points. But I think you know, I think if for some reason receivers look how, or I think if the secondary looks how they did today, I think it could potentially be another close game. Um, yeah.
I'm right there with you. They do have Brian Burns on defense. He's gonna give Penny Sewell and Taylor Decker all they can handle. And yes, they do have DJ Moore. You were correct on that. And DJ Moore is fast. So we will have another tough receiver to contend with. Now, I hope that they don't let Sam Darnold have a career day next week because that's who's playing. It's Sam Darnold. I'm with you. I believe the Lions will score more than 20 points next week. And I can see the Lions winning a 27 16, 27, 17 type of game next week. As we said last week, this game against the Jets was not going to be high scoring. I actually said on the podcast last week that 22, 23 points is going to do it. If the Lions can get 22, 23 points, that should be enough for them to win. They got 20 points, and it was. So to look ahead, I am predicting a win next week for the Lions, and it's going to be our first time above 500 in probably quite a few years since Caldwell was our coach, which probably was 2016, the last time we made the playoffs. So that's what I'm predicting. So overall, it was a good game today. The Lions did what they had to do, and they pulled in another gutsy win. And I think a beautiful thing about this is that the Lions are now doing what they haven't done in the past. They're winning close games. In the past, in 2021 and some of this year, the Lions would lose close games. Now they're winning close games. Do you have any more takeaways from the game today before we wrap it up?
Honestly, no, I don't. The Lions just need to play a little cleaner than they did next week because they need to start. Like we were talking about them turning the corner. Really, I'd like to see them beat this team by 14 points. To be honest, they really need to put it on them, just to show them that they're getting ready for the playoffs. But just like we said this week, so a win is a win. So as long as they can go out there and get it done.
Okay, I'm with you all day on that. Well, all right, Lions fans. If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so we can keep talking Lions football. Tell us what you thought about the game. Other than that, that's all we got. Peace.
Peace.